Breaking news on Jimmy Kimmel and autism.
Jimmy Kimmel coming back to late night television.
We are in for a monologue that will be a marker in late night show.
Late night shows. For many people, they're more than just TV after dinner. They mark the end of a long day, a moment when we want to laugh, get a snapshot of what's happening in the world, and maybe feel a little less heavy. Among all the hosts, Jimmy Kimmel has become a central figure in that ritual. His monologues do more than deliver jokes. They stir conversations, offend and comfort, provoke controversy and applause. Recently, Kimmel made headlines. His show was suspended by ABC after comments he made about the tragic killing of conservative activist Charlie Kirk, followed by backlash from network affiliates and political figures. So today, we'll dive in. What makes Jimmy Kimmel's monologues work so well? How he handles controversy? And why this recent event, his suspension and return, reveals even more about his style. Jimmy Kimmel has a voice that feels personal. He uses sarcasm, irony, and often frames stories in ways that make complex or painful news more digestible. But he doesn't oversimplify. Often he begins a monologue by describing the facts, what was said, what people believed, what critics responded with. Then he injects his commentary. The punchlines are often not about shocking jokes, but about the twist where he highlights absurdity or hypocrisy. In his recent return monologue, for instance, he said, "It was never my intention to make light of the murder of a young man." He displayed emotion when he spoke of things being misunderstood, when he addressed the backlash, when he said, "To silence a comedian the president doesn't like is anti-American." That mix of sincerity and edge is rare. He's not just trying to be funny, he's trying to matter. Another aspect is his relatability. Even in a big political controversy, Kimmel pulls in universal experience. He refers to things we all know: being misheard, having words twisted, seeing your intentions misunderstood. These are things many people in our age group have felt. Having said something and then getting backlash, being between generations, seeing media get more divided. That kind of connection makes his monologues more than entertainment. They feel personal. He also uses humor as a pressure valve. During his recent show, after addressing the serious matter, he shifted to lighter stuff, poking fun at news stories unrelated to politics, making jokes about everyday absurdities, like escalators breaking at major venues, or people complaining about inflation. This mix keeps the audience from being drained by the heaviness of the serious parts. It's emotional balance. You feel the seriousness, then you laugh, then you are thoughtful, then you laugh again. Jimmy Kimmel's monologues follow a pattern that feels natural but is very purposeful. When you watch closely, you see these common steps. Opening hook with current news, controversy. In this case, the hook was his suspension and the comments about Charlie Kirk. He begins by acknowledging that controversy, what he said, what it meant, what people heard. That immediately draws attention. It's not just a late-night joke about politics. It's a response to something people just saw in the headlines. That relevance is central. Explanatory setup. He doesn't assume everyone has full context. He carefully explains what his intent was, what the backlash said, which parties were involved, network affiliates, FCC chairman, etc. He clarifies misinterpretations. This builds trust. Because he's not hiding, he's trying to be clear, even admitting the possibility of misunderstanding. When a joke or criticism could be misinterpreted, this kind of clarity matters. Emotional moment, sincere apology, or acknowledgement. In the return monologue, Kimmel did more than joke. He got emotional. He expressed regret for how things were received, saying, "If you think I blamed a group, I understand you're upset." That kind of humility resonates. It shows he's human. Many viewers, especially in older demographics, respect a comedian who can acknowledge mistakes. Satirical jabs and irony. After the serious part, there's a shift to satire. Kimmel poked fun at those who demanded silence, at power structures, at political reactions. For example, mocking the idea that saying truth or opinion is punishable, or that ratings don't matter when people say they do. He often uses exaggeration here, depicting overreaction, absurd regulatory threats, or dramatizing criticism. That contrast from serious to satire is powerful. It keeps listeners engaged, surprised, and thinking. Lighter material are everyday jokes. To avoid one-tone heaviness, he weaves in jokes about less heavy stuff. Maybe a funny observation about something in the news that was odd, or a small absurdity about daily life. These bits offer relief, reset the mood, Let people laugh after the tension. Strong closer with a message or punchline. The end of his return monologue didn't just close with a joke. It closed with a message about free speech, about forgiveness, even invoking a personal value or emotional note. The widow of Charlie Kirk forgiving. That gives the ending weight. The punchline often lies not in a funny gag, but in a resonant, memorable statement. Then sometimes a joke to leave the audience laughing but also thinking. Interactions, real or imagined. Kimmel often includes you, the viewer, moments. You might be thinking. Some of you are upset. Even lines like, "If I were in your shoes." These build rapport. They make monologue feel like conversation, not lecture. This recent event, his suspension and return, shows something important. Controversy, when handled well, can amplify a monologue's reach. Let's unpack some of that. That says something. Audiences care about authenticity, about seeing someone stand up for what they believe, about humor that doesn't back down completely. It also suggests that when a monologue becomes part commentary, part personal statement, part protest, it connects more deeply. Especially in times when many feel ideas are being silenced, or when viewers feel media is polarized. This gives Kimmel an edge, not because controversy is inherently good, but because he's skilled at turning it into meaningful monologue material. Balancing truth, humor, repentance, strength. For many viewers, that's more interesting than a joke about nothing. Lifetime of perspective. Many in this age group have seen TV change, political norms shift, social media rise. They have more context for what's being referenced, so when Kimmel references things like free speech threats, political pressure, network interference, it resonates more powerfully. Desire for substance. After decades of surface-level comedy, viewers want more than just jokes. They want viewpoints, authenticity, real emotion. Kimmel's recent monologue gave those. It admitted complexity, addressed pain, spoke about values. Nostalgia plus modern relevance. Monologues used to be simpler. Carson, Leno, Letterman. But today's world is more chaotic. Kimmel bridges the old monologue tradition, commentary, storytelling, with modern issues. Viral media, political polarization, social consequence. That blend appeals to people who grew up with late night but want it to still feel timely. Renewed trust. When a host takes responsibility, clarifies misstatements, shows empathy, that builds trust. It's especially meaningful for folks who value accountability. That emotional honesty in Kimmel's return was crucial. Entertainment plus catharsis. There's healing in laughter. After seeing heartbreak, political fights, media spectacle, people want relief. Kimmel's monologue isn't just about being funny. It's about helping people process frustration, confusion, fear. It's like therapy with jokes. So what do we learn from Jimmy Kimmel's recent monologue, from his suspension and comeback? First, that modern monologues aren't just laughs, they're platforms. When done well, they serve as stage, as soapbox, as place where personal values meet public commentary. Second, that controversy, though risky, can deepen connection. If the comedian is sincere, if they take responsibility, if they balance the tough parts with humor and humanity. Third, that audiences want more than jokes. They want clarity, vulnerability, a voice that isn't afraid to admit mistake yet still stand up for belief. Jimmy Kimmel's comeback monologue was more than a performance. It was a moment. A reminder that in an age of online outrage, broadcast pressure, political noise, we still want voices that speak truth, that entertain, that connect. If there's one thing to take away, when you watch a monologue now, not just Kimmel's, but any strong one, listen for those layers. Setup, sincerity, satire, message, punch. Those layers make a simple joke into something you remember. Thank you for watching. If you like this exploration, don't forget to like, share, subscribe. Because honesty plus humor is a rare combination, and when it lands, it changes how we see the day.